Now we have the last panel discussion. May I request Rohini Gurung ma'am, Principal Podar International School, Jalandhar, for moderating the session, the last session of the 11th Education Summit. The topic is Pedagogical Innovation in School Education, Past, Present and Future. So ma'am, I'll be requesting to wind it up.
Gentlemen, hello. Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a very long day. And we started a, fresh morning, and we will be fresh again with a lovely panel discussion. Let me remind you, I think 90% of people sitting in this room are people who have grown up as a kid like me, watching He-Man, Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana, B.R. Chopra's Mahabharat, and the Chitrahar. And today, we are discussing about education and educating today's generation who are watching web series on the OTT. Times have changed. And yes, there is a change in the learners. If a student cannot learn the way you teach, then you need to teach the way the students learn. Pedagogy is the very heart of education. And yes, we need innovation in today's time. Ladies and gentlemen, last few years we have witnessed the amount of information that has come at everybody's hand due to internetization, which is more than that has happened in the last 100 years. Now, I've been told that we are the last panel discussion and we have some lovely participants. I'd like to call on the stage Mr. Vikrant Sharma, Director Principal, Littlewood Public School, Afzalgarh. Next, I would like to call on stage Mr. Neeraj Kumar, Principal, Aryan Global Public School, Panipat. I would also invite on stage Dr. Harvinder Kaur Pabla, Director Academics and Principal, Madhuvan Vatika Public School, Roopnagar. I take the pride and privilege in inviting Mrs. Raj Rani, Principal, Minerva Public School, Asant. Next in our panel is Mr. Tarjivan Singh, Principal, Raja Sahib Public Senior Secondary School, Banga. We also have with us Mrs. Uma Verma, Principal, National Senior Secondary School, Jind. We have in our midst Miss Gurnam Kaur Grewal, Principal, Guru Nanak Public School, Chandigarh. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Sachin Das, General Manager, India Trinity College, London. Welcome, speakers and delegates. So as I've already introduced the topic, pedagogical innovations in school education, the past, the present and future. So without wasting much time, I think we'll start with the discussion now, and I would ask each one of the panelists to be very, very crisp. I have, apologies, I've missed out on a name, Mrs. Indu Sharma, Principal, Sundar Deep World School, Ghaziabad. Madam is kindly invited on stage. So since we are the last panel discussion, I would request all the panelists to, specifically tell us about the pedagogical innovations they have experienced in their own schools in the last 2 years or 3 years or maybe 5 years. So we'll start with Mr. Vikrant Sharma. I think the mic is not working. Hello. Yes, it's working now. So I believe Mr. Vikrant Sharma is not in our midst. I would request Principal Aryan Global Public School, Mr. Neeraj Kumar, to kindly throw some light on this topic. So we would be wasting a lot of time. I would request, every panelist is here. Sir, we have just 15 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. I will stand. Change between past and present. And I have been listening disengagement of teachers, teachers' creativity, teachers should do this, teachers should do that. बहुत सारी चीज़ें टीचर को करनी चाहिए. And if I talk about the difference, अगर पहले की बात करें, आश्रम्स used to be there, गुरुकुल्स used to be there, गुरुर ब्रह्मा, गुरुर विष्णु, गुरुर देवो महेश्वरा, ये भी था. अगर हमारे टाइम में अगर टीचर आता था साइकिल से तो हम भागते थे साइकिल पकड़ने के लिए कि बस इसको पकड़ो और मतलब गुरुजी की सेवा में लग जाते थे. बट नाउ द टाइम हैज़ बीन चेंज्ड. मैं यहाँ पे आई जस्ट वांट टू आस्क ओनली वन क्वेश्चन. यहाँ पे सो मेनी प्रिंसिपल्स आर देयर. अगर कोई टीचर अच्छा काम नहीं करता, एक बार ही इज कमिटिंग द मिस्टेक्स अगेन एंड अगेन, क्या आप उसको अपने स्कूल में रखते हैं? आई थिंक नो. कोई भी नहीं, कोई भी डायरेक्टर नहीं, कोई भी प्रिंसिपल नहीं. तो ऑल दैट, और कोई भी टीचर है, अगर मैं किसी दूसरे स्कूल को जाता हूं तो आई हैव टू एडॉप्ट द एटमॉस्फेयर ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर स्कूल. अगर मुझे वहाँ पे जॉब करनी है तो मुझे वहाँ के जो तौर तरीके हैं उनको सीखना पड़ेगा. बट द प्रॉब्लम इज देयर सर, यहाँ पे ना सर एंड मैम्स, आई वॉन्ट टू से समथिंग डिफरेंट. जो चल रहा है अभी, जो नेगेटिविटी है, आई वॉन्ट टू टेल यू, अभी अकेले दिल्ली शहर में 20,000 केसेज आर देयर अगेंस्ट टीचर्स इन मानव ह्यूमन राइट कमीशन. सर मेरे बच्चे का कान पकड़ लिया है, मेरे बच्चे को सुनने में प्रॉब्लम हो चुकी है. दिस काइंड ऑफ. अभी सोनीपत में एक प्रॉब्लम आई है, टीचर ने कहा है एसपी साहब को जाकर के कि सर वी आर इन डेंजर, और जो बच्चे हैं दे आर वार्न अस, सो वी वांट सिक्योरिटी. तो दिस काइंड ऑफ एटमॉस्फेयर आर गोइंग ऑन. आई थिंक द थिंग इज दैट अगर कुछ करना है तो वी शुड डू इन दिस प्रोसेस, वी शुड डू इन दिस रिगार्ड. कहीं भी ऐसा नहीं है कि टीचर अपना काम नहीं करते हैं या कोई भी. हर स्कूल का एक नेचर होता है, हर स्कूल अपनी तरफ से बेस्ट करता है. लेकिन जहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम अभी आ रही है, 8 and 9th class it is good, but when it is the 10th, 11th and 12th, the things are completely different.
So I would request the next panelist, Dr. 𝗟𝗶𝗶𝗲𝗲, to
And thank you
kindly throw
very much.
some light on the topic pedagogical innovations in school education. And panelists, I request you to kindly stick to the time limit and also to the topic. Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. I won't go into any definition, just I request everyone sit straight. Sit straight, everyone, please. Because I have to talk about history and you have to be active, right? Sit straight, your hands on your knees. Close your eyes, everyone. So now let me take you to the history. So from 6th to 15th century, it was an era, it was a medieval period where the child was treated as an adult, right? And then the centuries, they start moving forward, and yes, this era also started moving, that how we were treating the small kids. So then we moved further. Then it was the Reformation period. Reformation means that one needs to be spiritually sound. Then again, 17th century, 18th century, Enlightenment period, reinforcement period among the kids, and then suddenly came the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century. And here, now a child was not a typical child, because it was followed up by the 20th century, where several laws were also there for the small kids. And what happened? Child became a product. There were suddenly stages in fancy middle school, high schools, and then comes the 21st century. What we are looking for? We are looking for innovations. Dalton atomic theory, I studied in my class 11, it is still same. Kids are not challenging. And this is the innovation that we have to talk about, and along with that, life skills. डाल्टन एटॉमिक थियरी तभी करेगा बच्चा अगर हम उसको सोचने देंगे. We adults are so much customizing them that they are the customized products, and we're talking about innovations. This is where we are going wrong. मुझे क्या खाना है, कैसे खाना है, कब खाना है. We are talking about world hunger. पर हम अभी तक अपने बच्चों को नहीं सिखा पाए रिस्पेक्ट से खाना कैसे खाना है, दूसरों के लिए सेव कैसे करना है. So we need, our innovation must integrate 6th to 15th century skills. Then in 21st century, technology is the genie among us. When I was a teacher, I considered, there might be someone who is doing these things for me so that I can create much for my students. And at the same time, this genie is there. Suddenly we are 10 years advanced just because of COVID, right? There are frustration gaps. We can fill it if we are strengthening our own life skills. And this is what the survival is, because the next journey is the journey for survival. It is not the journey for the survival of the fittest. It is the survival for the people, those who are really made themselves eligible. And we are the generation who are going to cover this gap in the best way. So let's get together and move ahead. Thank you.
So very well put up by Dr. 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 that, innovation is the need of the time. We need to ideate how to, teach our kids. Moving next to Ms. Raj Rani, Principal, Minerva Public School, Assam. Ma'am, your ideas.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good evening, one and all. I think the basic needs, roti, kapda और मकान, उसके अलावा क्या बचता है? Just education. That is the most important aspect of our life. And we are ignoring this. We are focusing all the things, roti, kapda और मकान. We don't think about education. Now we are thinking about education. We are discussing under the floor. And after going out, I don't know what will we do. It's an imagination or the discussion, what's going on. I can say nothing for that. We're discussing all the things. We see the students, those are studying in the schools, teachers enter in the classes and they deliver the lecture. Even the lecture-based study, students are understanding or not understanding. Teacher don't bother usually. They usually think about the salary. The communication gap usually maintained. Teacher think just teacher, they are the teacher, they must be respected. It's a matter of respect, it's a matter of dignity, but we should be careful about that, whether concept is clear or not. Teachers just deliver the lecture. If the students are bothering or not, they don't bother. Because here we are getting low salary. And 40 to 50 students are being taught in the single classes. The cooperative department and the college department, there is a huge gap. इस गैप को फिल नहीं किया जाता. यूजुअली क्या होता है, बच्चे को जो टीच किया जाता है, जैसे कि मैम ने बोला, whatever we have been taught, the same our kids are studying. तो वो जो गैप है वो फिल नहीं होता. Here we are seeing the techniques, coding, animations, robotic, a lot of things we are seeing. कि 6th क्लास के बच्चे को कोडिंग आनी चाहिए. जो हमारा एरा है, बड़ी सारी टेक्निक्स, बड़े सारे ब्रांड्स यहाँ पर आए, सभी ने अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन दी, दिखाया गया कि बच्चों को ये कराना है, बच्चों को ये कराना है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल द टीचर ट्रेनिंग मस्ट बी हेयर. जब तक टीचर को सिखाया नहीं जाएगा, टीचर को उस लायक नहीं बनाया जाएगा, तो बच्चों का कुछ भी नहीं होने वाला. यहाँ पर हम टीचर्स, प्रिंसिपल सभी बैठे हुए हैं, बच्चों के बारे में सोच रहे हैं. कहीं ना कहीं हमारा रहता है कि स्टूडेंट सेंटर स्टडी होनी चाहिए, बट क्या सच में हम आगे करने वाले हैं ऐसा? आई डोंट नो what will happen.
I'll have to interrupt you, ma'am, here.
Yeah.
So we agree with what Ma'am Raj Rani has said. The education has to be child-centric, and we have to teach children the way they learn. Thank you so much, ma'am.
1 minute. 1 minute.
We are running out of time, ma'am, and there are 4 more panelists,
and I think time we have. If we spend from the time 8:30 we were here, we must have time to say something for that.
I appreciate and I respect that, but again, ma'am, there are a lot of delegates wanting to leave.
I agree.
Just 1 minute, I'll request you to wind up.
Okay.
Thank you.
क्योंकि what's the reason behind हम whatever we study, whatever we are doing, हमारी expectation इधर है, हमारी preparation इधर होती है. Expectation और preparation में ये जो gap है, जो हमारा preparation टीचर के थ्रू होता है, स्कूल्स के थ्रू होता है या यूनिवर्सिटी के थ्रू होता है, बाहर कंपनी में जाके वो नहीं होता. कंपनी क्या कहती है, एक पर्सन 5 लोगों का काम कर दे, बट 5 लोग भी सेम काम को नहीं कर पाते हैं. दैट इज़ अ रीज़न. तो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट का रेशो इतना नहीं है जितना अंडर एम्प्लॉयमेंट का है. अंडर एम्प्लॉयमेंट क्या है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट है बट सैलरी कम है. दैट इज़ अंडर एम्प्लॉयमेंट. प्रॉब्लम इज़ हेयर, एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिल जाती है बट अंडर एम्प्लॉयमेंट रहती है. बच्चा स्टडी के लिए लोन लेता है, स्टडी के लिए लोन ले लिया, स्टडी होगी बट उसको लोन की EMIs के लिए उसके पास मनी नहीं होती है क्योंकि उसकी सैलरी उतनी नहीं मिलती है उसको. तो कहीं ना कहीं हम लैक कर रहे हैं इस चीज़ को. सैलरी नहीं है तो हम प्रोग्रेस कैसे कर सकते हैं? वी आर थिंकिंग अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. वी आर सेइंग that let your dream fly, give them wings, be whatever you are, and be happy by the fearless, being a fearless. If we try to help someone without expecting anything in return, God has His way of returning back, and God never forgets. Thank you.
Thank you. I invite on stage Mr. Sachin Das, General Manager, India Trinity College, London.
Thank you so much for having me, and I was a bit late chatting with somebody, so apologies for that. See, the topic is pedagogical innovation, and let me tell you, I am not an academic from your part of the world. I come from the performing arts part of the world. So we have certain way of teaching. So if you see in today's world of music, you take the teaching, it's a one-on-one teaching, you know. Obviously, in a classroom context, it's very difficult, but there are lessons to be learned from the performing arts pedagogical approach which we have in teaching. You do teach one-on-one, but when they come together on the stage, they all have to play together, and everybody has a part to play. Yeah? So it's bringing out that uniqueness, that individuality of each child. I think is very important when we kind of look at approaches on how to really bring the uniqueness of each child. And I certainly understand in a class of 40, 50, trying to give attention to each children. I think this is where innovation is very important. And thank goodness we are in a time and era where we have technology to help us with. So if we can kind of use the right technical tools and not become slaves of technology. Somebody was telling, I think Sir was telling in the morning that teachers should control the technology rather than technology trying to take over the teaching. So that's a little bit I would like to share in today's groups. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sachin Das. And rightly said, we have to use technology to benefit the child, not that technology is going to replace the teachers. Now, our next delegate here in today's panel discussion is Ms. Indu Sharma, Principal, Sundardeep World School, Ghaziabad. Ma'am, your ideas on the topic?
Ma'am, just once repeat the question. Repeat the question.
Okay, so the discussion is pedagogical innovation in school education, past, present, and future.
Yeah, from past, present, and future. I think in the past, the education I believe was teacher-centric. जो teacher ने पढ़ा दिया वही right है. And nowadays, education is shifting to being child-centric. And technology has already taken charge of the education, good or bad. We will realize, I think, 10 years or 20 years later. Something which is missing and needs to be inculcated is, as we have been discussing in various forms, is spirituality, or we can call religion. Religion, not per se particular religion, but the thought process of calming down yourself, telling the children to go slow, making them cope up with the failures in the life. Like one panel had some ma'am telling What about the 40%ers? We need to glorify them also. Every child has some innate potential. We need to tap it. The child may not be performing academically well, but somewhere we have to find which is his key point. So, lot of things have changed ever since we have studied, and while we are teaching, we are educating the children. Major is life skills, social skills. Sir had a question in the event of war, what education can do. I think education has to do with it only. Only education can stop the war and teach. And I believe awareness, since we all are very well aware of the situations now and about the pros and cons of wars which are happening, I think we have slowed down the process of war. I mean, what we were thinking 2 months back, how the war will take shape, 2 countries fighting with each other. It is education, awareness, little being alert and talking to each other, getting connected, discussions. I don't know about other places, but in India we can discuss sitting in a car, in a bus, in a beauty parlor or anywhere. We can discuss politics, we can discuss religion. So connecting to each other is very important for the children, because in last 2 years they have been isolated. They don't know now how to share their feelings, not to share their lunch tiffins. So sharing, connecting, calming them down that performance is not everything, and creating a future generation. We all are aware and alert about it, and we know that whatever we are teaching is not giving them jobs for future. What future holds for us, we don't know. 2050, we are not aware what kind of education we'll be giving and what kind of teaching we will be, what subjects will be there. These regular subjects will be there or not, we don't know. But the only thing is preparing them and making them strong mentally and physically. We have to understand, children were not strong physically, we were not strong physically, and that's why one virus could affect us so badly. In the end, it was all about immunity. Vitamin C ye le, because we were fighting. So making our children strong mentally, physically, spiritually should be the key point, so that they are able to face the world, a very uncertain world in the future. Thank you. Time is less. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And rightly agreed, we need to teach children at the right level, catering to the needs, educational needs of the low achievers as well as the high achievers in our classroom. Moving on to our next speaker, I invite Ms. Uma Verma, Principal, National Senior Secondary School, Jind, to share her ideas on the topic.
Very good evening to everyone. When we talk about the past education, and we talk about the present education, I just want to admit one thing, that in past, the education was teacher-centered. As ma'am told, that the education was only teacher-centered, means teacher aaye, padhaya, and that's all. But now the education is child-centered, and practical learnings are there in the classroom, because earlier education was just pen paper based, means teacher aa rahe hain, just better take this pen and start writing, this is A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, that's it. But now the things are practical. Practical learning is going on nowadays. I just want to admit one example here, which I am following in my school. About practical learning. If I'm going to introduce an apple to a student, or if I'm going to introduce A for apple to the student, to my student, so what I do is, I'll take a real apple in the class. I'll take a real apple in the class, beta, this is apple. A for apple. Yahan par one concept is going to be clear to the student, that this is A for apple. This thing will keep alive in the student's mind till the last day of his life, Means, whenever his father or mother will keep the apple in front of him, he will say that, Mama, this is apple. And the second concept, with this apple only, I'll tell the student, beta, what shape is this? What shape is this? This is round in shape. So the student is going to learn the shape from this apple only. So second concept is going to be clear to the student, that this is round in shape. And now beta, go and touch all the round things in this room around you. So two concepts are clear with this one thing. And the third thing will be, which I'll tell my student that, beta, what color is this? This is red in color. So the concept of color is also going to be clear to the student that this is red in color. So 3 concepts are clear with a single object when I'm giving a live and real example to the student. And the 4th and last example will be taste. Exactly, taste. I'll cut that apple into the pieces and I'll distribute all the pieces to the students of my class that, beta, now taste it. And what taste it is this? This is sweet in taste. So the student is going to learn 4 concepts. 4 concepts are going to be clear to a single student with only a single object. So this is the impact of practical learning, which was not going on when we were studying in the classes. No, when we were sitting in the classes as a student and we were learning the things from our teachers. These things were not there. But today, we are learning the things. We are teaching the things to the students in a practical manner. And the same things are going on in the same way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you so much for the...
All right, so we are again intervened, as you know, we'll have to shortly start with the prize distribution or the award ceremony, but sir is leaving now. So saving the best for the last, and you know, we have very little time, so I invite Ms. Gurnam Kaur Grewal, Principal, Guru Nanak Public School, Chandigarh. Ma'am, please share your ideas on the topic.
Hello, good evening one and all. The first panelist, the first speaker and the last speaker has maximum time. I'm sorry to say that. Yes.
We are so sorry.
We all have been speaking about pedagogical innovations. We have been speaking about technology and the way it has impacted our students, our teachers, our curriculum, our values, our skills. Starting from wooden paddles and horn books of the colonial era, to the computers and to the iPads. And now in future, we are going to get the biometrics, which is going to read the emotional disposition of a child in the class and alter the course of a child accordingly. We're going to have augmented reality glasses, which are there on the Google search, to have a view of the whole information through our eye, as Edison had said. We're going to have multi-touch surfaces and workstations. And for all this, we all had been practicing new ideas. We had been bringing in innovations in the pedagogies, apart from 2 C's, that is constructivism, collaboration, 2 I's, that is integrative and inquiry-based learning, and 1 R, that is one reflective learning. Apart from that, we have new innovations in the pedagogies, like personalized teaching and learning, mastery-based assessment of skills. We have trauma-informed practices, which is the latest, in which not only COVID, but we have to cater to any trauma which a child has faced during his life. But we have the Genius R and N number of pedagogies, but being the last speaker, I will do a critical analysis. Since morning we had been saying goody things, that technology has done this and this and this, but the negative consequences are that there is decrease in concentration span of children, there is screen fatigue and stress, anxiety, cholesterol, diabetes, thyroid. How to cope up with it comes in the role of IQ, then is EQ, which we have talked of, emotional quotient. We have to teach SQ, that is spiritual quotient, but along with that, one more quotient has to be taken care of, that is AQ, that is adversity quotient. We need to teach children how to face the adversity. Number 1. Second is through bite teaching and nano learning. That is teaching short content in short period of time. Then genius art. Then next biggest challenges. We are talking of innovations and pedagogies and having these seminars and webinars and workshops. But who is going to implement this? That is teachers. And for that, number one, we'll have to change the curriculum of B.Ed in India, wherein we are teaching overhead projector now also in the books, whereas in practical reality, we have smart boards in classes. Second main point is that we need to increase the salaries of teachers of India, and especially the school teachers. College teachers, UGC grades have been raised.
Thank you.
But school teachers, yes, a raise is needed. Otherwise, the children, the good children with passion for teaching will go to engineering and the medical professions. We need good teachers. Number three is that we need to change the pattern of the competitive examinations, which should not be based on marks, but on skills. Number four, we need to counsel our parents so that they are not over-ambitious, stressing the child, stressing the teacher, and stressing the society. We really need to sensitize all of them. We need to end up the system of having contractual teachers in government schools. A teacher has to be permanent in a good grade so that the real education is imparted to the child of India. And for that, I would like to thank Ministry of Education. I would like to thank the CBSE, other boards. I would like to thank Education Department, UT Chandigarh, for organizing many seminars and workshops. And today I thank Time2Grow.
Thank you, ma'am.
For organizing this and giving us an opportunity to interact with so many people.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And we are very sorry. We are running short of time, so we are interrupting in between. Thank you so much, all these speakers.